welcome back to the LEC Summer Playoffs. As we see a gnome, a dancing man on stage. And you have too many caps, Nisqy, right now.
Multi-role
Congratulations, multi-role talent.
You.
I mean, you actually tweeted at the beginning of the day that you were more stressed about the dance than the series itself. So what was the dance about and why did you think it was going to be an easy
Okay, the dance basically is because I did like a subathon and then the goal was reached and I said I would do a dance on stage and then my chat decided it should be like the martial dance. It's like an anime.
Yeah.
Then I practiced it for a while and I guess I just did it, yeah.
Are you just prepping the backup career as a TikToker influencer here? Is that what we're witnessing?
Yeah, I mean, money is running pretty low now, so like I need to be good when I'm retired.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and honestly, amazing series from you guys. One-sided one. As you said, you were not stressed for this one.
Yeah.
What made you guys think that you were actually better than Heretics and in which aspects?
I mean, we scrimmed lots of like top teams.
Yeah.
And we went like even in like most games. And then when we scrimmed like some of the bottom teams, we like stomped. So I assumed if we just played our game that we would win against Heretics. Like I don't think they do anything special. And then when I saw their first draft, I was like, am I in the wrong scrim bubble or like what's going on? And yeah, they also did some weird bans. I'm not sure where it comes from, but yeah, I mean, it was kind of easy in my opinion.
I mean, preparation was, they missed the mark a bit on this one, which is not your case because when we talked about SK at the beginning of the day, GB, you were the one setting up the fact that they may not have, sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot here, they may not have the cleanest macro, but they have amazing individuals that take turns into carrying their own games and bailing other players out. Today was the case of Luon.
Yeah, I mean, I think today was not even a case of where the star player factor had to come in because they were just straight up better on every front on Team Heretics. Like, I don't think they were challenged on the macro aspect. I don't think they were individually challenged either. Like, it just felt like an easy game for SK. So, I'm still not convinced fully if SK goes up against a G2 in terms of what mid to late game macro is going to look like. But still, their individuals continue to impress, and I think they are setting themselves up for success in playoffs.
And Luon was the player of the series here today. Do you think that's deserved and he was the man of the hour in carrying you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think he had some insane engages in like both games. I think he plays really well, like the map and like the vision and whatnot. And then also like about like the mid-game macro thing, it's like in our team we believe that even if you don't make the right decisions in mid-game, as long as everyone follows, it will work. So like even if you trade like one tower for one and then someone sees a play, we all go for it, even if like on paper you have to base and whatnot. Like for example, this game when they're 2 bot and we do Nash. George Irrelevant was like, I think I can defend, and I'm like, okay, and then we just go and get Nash. Meanwhile, the best place probably just to base and then reopen the map, but we just believe in everything we do and everything we say, and it works for now, so we will probably not stop.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys in the next round, hopefully continuing with the improvement. The second series we have on our hands here, a lot of different strength. You have BDS, who's been one of the most consistent teams we have, and Mad Lions, who had to fight and crawl back and finally get their qualification in the playoffs. And I do believe that once again, it is the power of friendship that prevails.
But I'm hearing it so often, and to me, really, I mean, it has become the power of leadership for Elyoya, that I want to say, because when MDK was so good in winter, it was a completely different meta, right? We're talking about have they peaked. I think it was just a different playstyle they had. Remember what Elyoya was playing, Sejuani, Rail. If you go and watch that early game again, it's just going bot at wave 3 every single time to make sure they're ahead. These new rookies were spoiled by the fact that they had a veteran that just said, I'm going to be selfless, I'm going to get you ahead. Now fast forward to where we are in summer, we are suddenly in a meta where sometimes junglers have to get leads. Sometimes junglers have to be played for with the meta right now, with the AD mids, with the AP junglers, and they weren't very good at doing that. But heading into last week, they finally cracked the code. They finally started playing through Elyoya. They finally started giving him resources back. And that's why they made it to playoffs, because they could pull out a Viego, because they could pull out AP junglers, which they struggled so much at doing before.
Quick take on MDK and their chances in playoffs in the first round, especially here.
I mean, I think BDS will stomp Mad, sadly for them, because I just don't see in which aspect BDS loses against Mad. I feel like they're kind of covering everything. I think except possibly like the weird picks of Myrwn, like Varus top, maybe like Nico or like an Ari or something he found that's new now. I think except that, I think BDS is just a better team and they will just win.
All right. BDS need to do some things though to get that win. We saw some improvements. There's a checklist that BDS has to respect here in playoffs and that we want to see from them. Maybe the casters can tell me more about this.
That's a lot of pressure, Laure. And you know what we do when the pressure is on? We make the new guy do it. Adam?
Yeah, all right,
What
here it
do
is.
BDS need to do better?
Look, here's a list of stuff. I realize that's quite small, so I'm going to go forward a little bit.
Yeah.
But
It's like we're streamers.
you know, it's a long list of things that either BDS have done.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. I don't have to
So-
hold this anymore.
Here's all the things that they've done this season. So when you talk about BDS improvement, guys, they are getting better and better. They have done almost everything that they need to do. The problem is there's 3 things still missing. One of them is get invited to Euphoria, which I hold the power to do. The other 2, a little bit harder, but let's see what it looks like in this best of 3 versus MDK.
I mean, ultimately, I think that we got some great insight before we went on the break from BDS, especially from Adam and the coaching staff, where they talked about how they feel like they're not being talked about enough as a top team. And I think that it's important to recognize that they have been sitting at the top of the table pretty consistently all year long. But what do these improvements actually look like? Yes, they are more flexible. They seem to have more draft options. But what are those tangible things? And today we're going to explore them, talk about them, and see what BDS, the evolution of BDS, will show us, if they have continued to evolve as they go up against Mad Lions today.
Yeah, I think there's so many different things, right? I think you've got Ice's champion pool. I believe he plays a bunch of utility and hyper carries now, whether it's Zeri or Jinx this split or Varus in the past. You've got Adam's champion pool expansion, which came around in the spring. In the summer, they played Sheo way more on carries, and I think overall they've become way more well-rounded.
And I think the biggest thing, if you're on the side of MDK, to be concerned about is how consistent BDS have been. Because when you look at the top 4 teams, this is one of the worst draws you could have. Because while teams like Fnatic and G2 have certainly shown higher ceilings than BDS, consistency is the name of the game for BDS. And you're not going to reliably be able to blow them out of the water early game and then close, because BDS have always been this team, this season at least, that can come back from those early game deficits, that can outmaneuver. And that's something that's going to be tricky for MDK, a team who, while they've had in their best games, really good early games, have consistently struggled mid to late game.
What I think is super interesting is what is going to be the draft priority. We are on a new patch. We saw some interesting priorities earlier from SK and Team Heretics. Traditionally, we see Vi banned against Mad Lions a lot. They do not want to give that level of agency towards Elyoya. Skarner is obviously a very common ban that's kind of moved to the wayside, but things like Tristana, Taliyah, you have to imagine that those are still high on the priority, and it looks like BDS sticking to the trends. The Vi going to be taken away, Rumble, of course, the mainstay red side ban, Varus being added to the list.
I think something that was really interesting coming into the new patch now is that Taliyah jungle has been nerfed, and both of these teams really liked having Taliyah early rotation, and they're flexing it to either jungle and making a comp around it, or the same with mid lane. Now that's kind of gone in the jungle with the jungle damage nerfs, so that pick kind of falls down in priority a little bit. I think Nuke did play well on it, so maybe they pick it mid lane anyway.
Very interesting that we're seeing an Ezreal ban over in the LCK specifically. They've been highly prioritizing this Ezreal as kind of one of the new priority AD carry picks after a bunch of the changes in the buffs he had not that long ago. The TF taken away from Myrwn makes a lot of sense. We heard from Dagda, of course, on Euphoria, where he talked about he liked seeing Myrwn on a lot of these carry champions towards the top side of the map, and something they did have success with in the tiebreakers.
And it's interesting because I think Myrwn has built a very similar reputation to what Adam had when he first started, where he's this guy who will play unique picks, but if he doesn't get those unique picks that he's comfortable on, he struggles to make the same impact. For Adam, when he started, it was obviously Olaf and Darius, and he's still fantastic at those picks, but for Myrwn, it's things like the Boros top, things like the TF top that are so consistently taken away. That said, might not be as strong as a flex, but still a high priority option that Taliyah does get locked in.
Yeah, now it's a bit different because it's much less likely to go towards the jungle. They've been playing a lot of Viego with the Taliyah, playing for these kind of reset single target compositions. I wonder if they pivot towards that with an early Viego lock-in. But I'm really curious, maybe they go jungle anyway. This is the first time we've really seen it. We don't really see it in the LPL, the LCK.
Tristana Zeri, a combo that's already been very prevalent today. The Malphite hover from Adam. We've seen Malphite from Adam before. He's teasing us. Whether or not we'll actually get the lock-in is yet to be determined. Of course, locking it now would be incredibly risky. Blind pick into Myrwn.
I can't think of the last time I saw a blind pick Malphite.
Yeah, I mean...
Is that allowed?
It's allowed. Whether I would recommend it is an entirely different conversation.
I feel like there's probably a line in the rulebook that says that's the list of champions you're just not allowed to blind pick. But the Nautilus and the Corki, much safer blinds. Well, not really blinds.
I'm a little surprised to not see the Leona from Labrov when I think about his style being the primary engage. Of course, Nautilus is an effective engage champion still, but Leona seems to have just risen in priority around the world as like the go-to support.
Yeah, Leona's incredibly broken. With the new Tenacity changes, I feel like she's just the best support to me. Nautilus is going to be locked in because the lockdown into the Zeri is really valuable, and Braum is an answer into it. I think he's only ever played this split, Alistair and Rel, so I figured one of those two, but then they targeted Bandit away. Good prep from Mad Lions.
Line's really trying to pinch that pool. But the beauty of BDS's comp right now is they do have a lot of flexibility. This Taliyah could be jungle, the Corki could be mid. They could put the Taliyah mid with Corki bot. Like, there's a lot of flexibility. Of course, Corki and Tristana not touched on this patch, so they are still natural mainstays here on the competitive level. As Kai said, right now they're speculating that Taliyah is jungle, the Corki is mid, so they're trying to pinch that AD carry pool. Yeah,
I think Viego Renekton could be a rotation here if they want to slot in Taliyah into mid lane for the side of BDS. That gives you fantastic topside one-shot potential, which is something that BDS have been playing. I imagine Renekton could be target banned here unless Myrwn has an answer into it. Something like the Gnar could go into it, which we're seeing a lot around the world as well.
Taking their time on this final ban. Sejuani now the Jinx also taken away, so limiting the hyper-scaling option for Ice. And Mad Lions Koi already kind of have the keys to the kingdom when it comes to scaling late into the game. The Tristana, the Zeri paired with a Braum, a combo that can be very hard to deal with if we approach, the 25-30 minute mark. So don't want BDS to be able to match that.
Maokai, probably the ban from BDS. No, actually, Yasuo. What does that say?
Gnar priority?
If you don't pick Gnar, we pick Gnar.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Of course, right now, the blindable top laners is the big debate. After Skarner gets knocked down, Cassante's received a bunch of nerfs. Cassante's probably still fine as a blind pick top, right? But Gnar seems to have risen in priority alongside Renekton.
Yeah, Zyra locked in. And it's Gnar, Cassante, and Renekton that are the three go-to now that, like you said, Skarner's out. And they're your AD blind picks top lane. That works really well with the mixed damage with the Taliyah. Zyra locked in. I think Zyra Brand being higher than Zyra, my favorite AP junglers right now. And it looks like Elyoya is going to tend towards that. Is the most played jungler this split. And now, I really wonder what they're going to do with Taliyah. I think it's going to be Viego Renekton topside. That's what it's looking like to me.
My only concern with Mad Lions comp right now is it's got a lot of scaling. Doesn't really have any easy ways to start fights.
Oh, no.
Okay! That's
wow.
a Twitch. So I'm going to assume very safe, hopefully, that this is going into the AD position. Because if it's going anywhere else,
I assume it's an answer into the Zeri.
I will be very upset. But this is a champion, a lot of range, obviously the ability for the shots to penetrate. But as you said, Vedi, no real reliable engage option on the side of Mad Lions Koi yet. On the side of BDS, though, they've still found a way to match the scaling that MDK are bringing to the table.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, this is a very well-rounded comp. Great scaling on the side of BDS. My memory fails me, but I swear it was Crown Shot that originally used Twitch as an answer into Zeri when Zeri was very prevalent in the meta. But usually it's because Zeri's not the biggest lane bully, and one of the big things that Twitch struggles with is the ability to get through the laning phase. So picking it here makes a lot of sense. We'll see if he can actually get through the laning phase.
Yeah, absolutely. You pick Twitch because you get the free scale into the Zeri. It's a fantastic answer. Camille going to be locked in into the Gnar. I think you had options like Kennen as well, but they won the mixed damage. Camille very good with setup onto the mini Gnar.
Yeah, I think I'm super interested in this BDS composition. We've been talking a lot about their evolution as a team. This is quite a different draft from them, right? We've been seeing more carries from Sheo. We've been seeing a greater diversity in champions from Adam. We've been seeing Nuke have a very strong split overall. And Ice, one of my criticisms of him is he has been very limited in his champion pool, and now he's bringing out the Twitch. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned by the Camille. I think in isolation, Gnar can beat Camille quite handily, but with help, like with the Sejuani, for example, Camille can play into the mini Gnar with a bunch of setup. Zyra doesn't really facilitate these kinds of ganks as much, so I'm a little bit more concerned for this Camille counterpick. I would like something else, but still, counterpick for Myrwn. Let's see what we can do with it.
Both sides, similar tools brought to the table. A little bit more reliable engage for BDS, no doubt. But Mad Lions Koi a lot of power as we approach the later stages. Remember, coming to this, BDS the clear favorites. Mad Lions Koi barely scraping in. A beautiful final day is what brought them here, but they are going toe-to-toe with the man himself, none other than Labrov James. Hiding in the brushes, throwing out the hooks. In this case, Nautilus hook, not as exciting, I'm not gonna lie. But still a lot of credit to this team. See if they can cement themselves even further at the top of the table, or if MDK have grown a lot in the last 2 weeks, have something new to show us on the Rift. We get to the game one of our second best of 3 of the LEC Summer Playoffs. Now approaching onto the Rift, waiting. Any crazy level 1s? Anyone going for anything too cheeky? Alvaro potentially looking to leverage Braum level 1. Notoriously broken in level 1 all-ins.
Something we sometimes see at level 1 is to disrupt Zyra clear. You sometimes just go over and step on all the plants and all the seeds to slow it down, right? Because that's one of her complete strengths. She has such a fast clear. Other than that, I think the level 1 of Braum might be a little bit too scary, so I'm going to go for it.
When we think about early game, one of the caster tropes, of course, is to think about like, okay, well, let's think about what the junglers are thinking about doing, right? Because you always try to play towards the strong side of the lane, you know, like we're always... And so I'm curious from your perspective, if you are the Zyra in this position, and I mean, you're an avid top laner, right?
Yep.
Are you asking for a lot of help on your Camille if you're top in this position, or you're like, just leave me be, I'll be fine in the early levels, come gank me later?
Generally, Gnar's quite a bit weaker early game than he is later on, because he scales really hard with levels because he gets more range as he levels up, and then she just kites you. Later on, when you have Camille 6, that's a really big window to go on to the mini Gnar. But it actually, hang on a minute.
Ice, a classic Twitch cheese. We've all seen it before. The Q start, Fresskowy hating his life. Labrov trying to hold down the fort in the bottom lane, but solo Q rearing its ugly head here in the LEC.
You summarized it perfectly. I never expected a solo Q strat to come out in pro play. The level 1 cheese.
Look, everyone at home is like, you guys think that's bad? He's not level 2 with red buff. You can shut up.
Right?
It's not that bad.
All I'll say is I've had that happen top lane as well, and it's really miserable. Twitch with TP, then TPing down bot side after to catch the wave is, it's really annoying.
I've experienced it with Twitch supports.
Yes.
You know, when they just sit in other lanes for the first few levels to just be as obnoxious as possible. But look at what it's done to the laning phase now. Nuke has so much control. We've seen this matchup multiple times throughout the year, and we know how volatile it can be, but getting that early lead has Adam with a nice sidestep to dodge out the early level 2 from Myrwn.
You start level 1, very common on Gnar in almost any matchup, dodge out on the E. And because of that, despite the level 2 advantage, going to avoid all the damage. Now, what I was going to say about mid lane is that this matchup is incredibly volatile. Very often we see mid laners just straight up kill each other level 1 or 2 because they auto-attack each other to death because it's so close. What this favors is a really volatile jungler, someone who can make plays. And flash down on Fresskowy means this could be a regank from Sheo.
Certainly could be. We'll be keeping our eyes on him as he passes towards the top side of the map. Given that Myrwn does have the early push, maybe there'll be an opportunity for him to look for a gank up there. We've seen multiple times this split where Sheo will just do a single gank toward Adam and then leave it for the rest of the game, right? Give him that very tiny advantage and trust in him to be able to snowball with that type of advantage. But one of the big things that Adam has said this split is that he wants to be a greater team player. He's already in the past showcased his willingness to roam. And as I say that, Alvaro looking for a bit of a roam mate.
In this case, his willingness to blind pick, of course, kind of a necessity when you're playing on blue side, but thus far has been weathering the matchup quite well. Camille, of course, not too terrifying yet. You mentioned the Gnar will get stronger in the 1v1, but we've seen what Camille can do. 1-2 item threshold when she starts to be able to dive on to a lot of these squishier champions. For now, though, relatively quiet as Myrwn, unfortunately for him, is going to get spotted by a bit of vision.
Adam's holding this wave here for quite an extended period of time. Because of that Myrwn, he's sitting on a ward recalling, trying to soak XP. He doesn't realize he's on a ward, so he's going to get ganked here.
Oh. They're just waiting. They're taking their time, ready to try to get away. The hook shot is there, but well, time to the minefield, the knockback. Mega coming through just to make sure there's no counter kill. A clean first blood on the top side for BDS.
Yeah, like I said, sitting on the ward, not realizing he's on it, trying to soak XP, a classic move. Sheo sees this, clears up top side, but this is all off of the back of Adam holding the wave there, trimming it consistently, denying the crash. And Myrwn, he just couldn't get away.
Really nice setup, and of course, you have to see the value. A dash on Tristana. Oh, hang on a second, Myrwn's taking enough damage. Okay, Sheo. I thought he was considering a dive, but it seems that Adam wants to go back to base, totally fine. But Supa with the dash, Tristana with the dash, Braum with the dash, Camille with the dash. Like, Taliyah has a field day with the potential options here. So we'll see how things pan out as the game continues. BDS already with an early game lead. As we mentioned before, we've seen this from BDS. Early game from Sheo towards the top side, and then he starts turning his attention to elsewhere. Normally, he'll actually try and invest in the mid lane after he's been able to find that early gang top. But to me, this has been one of the biggest changes from BDS, where Sheo on these carry junglers is having so much more impact in the early game. And the last time these two teams met, he was able to do a very similar thing on Taliyah as well.
Yeah. An impressive performance in the previous game. Of course, it was a bit scrappier, but I think, honestly, when we look at a calm or slightly BDS-favored early game, that's going to pay off huge, because the main way that MDK we've seen win games is scrappier early games, where they really rely on those individual fights or forcing these kind of skirmishes. And when you get a quick kill early on, you get a Twitch gank early on, you really set BDS up for success.
One of the big things that stood out to me when they fought in Week 4 was that MDK were actually pretty good in the team fights against BDS. They were willing to go toe-to-toe with them in the 5v5s. The way that BDS got the better of them was just catching them on sides.
It's going to be a little bit of a walk down now. Sidestep! No! It's terrible! But he's about to turn Mega. He has to flash forward. Oh, he hops too far! Run, Myrwn! Run on your little blade legs! Oh, the ball misses too! Oh, nobody can hit anything! Everybody look away! It didn't happen!
Oh, no,
Go mid instead! Oh, the 1v1!
The interrupt. He doesn't have level 6 yet.
It's the best worst 1v1 I've ever seen.
The solo laners are so volatile. I think Adam makes a mistake there. He walks into melee range, giving the physical shield. I think if he just played with range and didn't hop in there, holding the Narbar maybe a little bit longer, he could have just ran down Myrwn.
Yeah, I'm surprised. If he waited too long, he turns Mega anyway, and then he's out of range
but
to
Adam
hit.
flashed in mini. And then he E'd over him.
Which gave him the double bounce instead of the single bounce.
And then also gives him the Mega.
Flashed, Q'd, and E'd, he would
I don't think he needed to flash.
All I'm saying is I played a lot of Mario, and when you have the fireball power, you don't need to jump on the Goomba's head.
Listen,
right?
man, all I'm going to say is I thought I was really smart when I commented on Yanko Sejuani, and I was made a fool. So you know what? Nice play from both top laners. They tried
Let's take a look at the play from mid laners here. Oh, no. Pretty simple all-in, but it's never a 1v1, poor Fresskowy. There's always someone in this mid lane, and that rocket was very big.
Hang on.
Now coming in for another kill, and this is total disaster for MDK in the early game.
Sheo turns his attention to top side.
Narbar is there, and the ult comes in, the setup's there as well.
Pack ultimatum available from Myrwn. Where's he going to use it? Taking his time to make sure he walks out of the minefield. Goes back in, trying to isolate Sheo. Alvaro coming in now as well. Unbreakable, the body block. The flick back is good. Adam, 2, 3, 4 on the concussive blow stacks. Elyoya here, 2. That is 1 dead Gnar. MDK finally finding an angle. And finally a 1v1 in the mid lane. A true 1v1, but it might be too late. The knockback coming in. Jump out from Fresskowy. Behind in gold, but still holds on to his life.
There's no cross map available down bot side either because they're on reset. Alvaro with a nice play shadowing top side. The second Adam turns mini. He gets absolutely one pop by the Camille and the Zyra CC. Nice play, nice shift up towards top side on the grub spawn.
I mean, it's nice to see MDK answer some of the aggression that we've been seeing from BDS because picks across the map mean that this game for MDK is going to very quickly snowball out of control. But some nice play from Alvaro and Elyoya brings the game back to a steady spot. Sheo, though, kind of in his natural habitat, finds himself on the grubs. BDS have had a very high focus on this objective throughout the regular season, and they're going to be able to get 2 of the 3.
Yeah, through these leads, usually it's the Tristana team. At the very least, when I watch LPL, it's usually a Tristana team securing priority in the mid lane and transitioning that into grubs. But because top is winning in isolation with help as well from Sheo, and mid lane's winning in isolation, they're securing the grubs, and it's going to be very valuable for the side lane 1-3-1.
In the LPL, does the Tristana win when a Twitch and a Taliyah repeatedly come
Okay, in fairness. Yeah, fair play to Fresskowy.
I don't want to do Fresskowy dirty here. This man has been getting bullied. His new nice sidestep on the initial piece of CC. Sadly, a little bit too much for him to dodge there. Flashed over the wall, but he might still drop. Q flash from Alvaro. Looking good to finish that one off.
I mean, Nuke thought that he was safe in his backspace, but MDK, they catch him out, and he has no way to break free. Now the chase comes in from Alvaro. Won't connect the 4 stacks of the Braum passive.
Ice. Now in trouble. Supa tries to go all in here, but just ulti traded for alt. Moving speed coming in. Sponge not going to do too much. I think MDK thought they had the angle because they had so many members on the bottom side, but Supa doesn't do too much damage yet.
Alvaro, playmaking Braum is not something that usually goes hand in hand as 2 words.
I mean, you say that, but we've been casting Mickey and Hylissang.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
2 years, so...
Your flash is for Q flashing.
Yeah.
Or R flashing. It is a playmaking champ. Is it a good playmaking champ? No. But will you do it anyway if you're a European support? Hell yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of the bare minimum that we've come to expect. Nice play overall as MDK slowly start to close the kill difference. The thing that I'm concerned about is that while the goal difference isn't that dramatic, this Twitch is relatively unscathed in the laning phase. Camille, which I think can be a very good matchup against the Gnar, has kind of been shut down thanks to the impact of Sheo, and a mid lane matchup that, as Eragon was saying earlier, can be very volatile, has been stymied thanks to some creative plays from BDS. I feel like BDS did a good job in the early game of recognizing all of the scary points of MDK's draft, and they've effectively been able to mitigate them, at least within the first 10 minutes. The only thing they really need to be concerned about is the rate at which Elyoya is accelerating, and this Zyra is getting very strong.
Yeah, really big mid lane gap in terms of items right now, so all the raw trades are going over to the side of Nuke. But they're trying to, MDK are trying to roam towards mid lane to punish Nuke's flash. Smart recall here though by Myrwn. Identifies he is chunked, Sheo could be topside, and the dive there is incredibly free, especially with Mega Gnar timing on that wave crash.
You can see him delaying the TP. Elyoya moving up first. I imagine TP comes in now. Once the wave is done and once Elyoya is in a position to respond. Good call out there, Eragon. And now Myrwn, safe to farm up this wave. If he had TP'd in sooner or if he had backed later, very well could have been dead, but playing with the appropriate level of caution. Sadly, it does cost him a plate, though, and Adam only getting further ahead. 1.1k individual gold lead. Huge for an R at this point in the game.
I like asking top lane experts because most casters never go to that lane.
Okay.
Most League players never go to that lane. 4 out of 5 League players have never been there.
How scared are you when you see a Gnar with 1k gold lead ahead?
It's miserable. I mean, he can't really kill you unless he's mega and he combos you in the face with some help.
Yeah.
But you could still kill him if you have a bunch of setup, right? Especially when he's mini-Gnar. It's not too bad. Maybe once he completes Triforce, you know, you're a little bit more worried about a rundown.
Well, what do you think about this dive?
Yeah,
I quite like the idea.
I think it's possible.
MDK.
He's trying to stack a rage as quickly as he can. Alvaro now coming in. Isn't going to land the concussive blows. That's big. Buys him an extra second. Flashing away to try to get mega timing, but the damage is just too high. MDK again punishing topside.
I think Adam does a smart thing in trying to lure the wave away so that it can aggro onto Alvaro. And then he tries to E, but I think his E actually got interrupted by Myrwn, which meant that he was forced to flash earlier than he planned. And then that set up for Elyoya to land the stun, which ultimately got the kill before he got the Mega Gnar. So I think he did his best in the situation. Ultimately, he got outplayed and MDK equalized the kills. So not a bad spot for MDK to be in. I do think in the grand scheme of their composition, I don't love the fact that they don't have easy ways to start fights. They do have pretty strong side laners, and I think that there's definitely scaling on their side, but how do you really engage against this BDS composition? And like, how do you propel the game forward if you do find those advantages?
I mean, usually you have Camille plus some kind of dive buddy, right? That's very, very common onto the backline, but you have Camille solo diving into the backline, over to Taliyah rocks and Nautilus hook, and I think that's incredibly hard to pilot, so it's on Myrwn to find these angles, maybe on some flanks, and he's approaching from topside now.
Set up here, fight for the 4-grub buff. BDS just need to grab 2 and they can get out, and they're very close to doing it. Lower the health bars, healing now coming in. Sheo, quick smite, now they can leave, they don't really need to stick around, they don't need to get anything done. Alvaro gonna connect the ulti onto Nuke, but hesitance from the side of MDK. They needed to go a little bit sooner if they wanted to get this done. Alvaro tanking damage for absolutely nobody, and now it's Ice on the side. Knockup gonna come in big. Twitch ulti already there. Adam trying to find the angle, but the wall actually hurting the play a little bit as Myrwn's now ready to turn it. That one is not feeling good. Luckily, the minefield gonna stop any follow-up. Elyoya stopped there, but MDK is still getting a decent amount out of that fight.
Ice opens up onto the backline after all the spells are used, and I figured something more would happen there, but the damage is so underwhelming, even through the cleanse pop, and it's because he's on components of Bork, which are notoriously weak. So no play managed to be found there.
I feel as though the initiation from BDS was just handled very well from MDK. Yeah. Like, you saw them use a lot of their tools onto Alvaro. I love the flash engage from Labrov to connect onto Supa, but then Supa's able to get over the wall. The Taliyah wall doesn't really separate anyone, and then the flashes come through from the other members of MDK to create that space. And I thought more flashes were used, but it was actually only Elyoya and Supa. And immediately on the re-engage, MDK was just in a much better position. So perhaps moving forward, that's a great way for them to kind of start these fights off, have BDS be the initiators, leverage your Braum, leverage your Zyra to make it difficult once you've committed to then disengage and then chase them down with the fact you have a Camille.
I will say it's incredibly difficult for Myrwn to play. He had to wait so long before he could actually pull the trigger and actually dive onto the backline. Once he did, he found a target on the Nautilus, but yeah, it's going to be really hard for him to pilot team fights.
But we'll say, while there is the 4-grow buff for BDS, it will start to spawn those mites. You know, 14 minutes in, Gold slightly favoring MDK. So what started very disastrous, you remember, 3 kills in favor of BDS early on. Now MDK have really brought it back in a position where they're pretty comfortable. The Camille not doing too bad. 1-0-3 for Elyoya, already finishing the Leandries. Single items across the board for this MDK lineup outside the Braum.
Yeah, I will say Elyoya is kind of the key that brings this whole Mad Lions roster together. He's really good at having the confidence to force a lot of these initiations, and he finds great angles, especially on this Zyra, to make great plays happen. I mean, we've seen these plays before. I think it was even when they played against BDS, where he flashed over that wall on your screens to land a multi-man Zyra ultimate, catching BDS completely off guard. So I think that as a player, he's a key, and the fact that he's 1-0-3 right now is very important to their success.
Yeah, and very important for MDK. We've seen as times have gotten tough, right? They weren't as reliant on him as to be an individual playmaker in Winter when they were just a bit ahead of the curve in terms of team synergy, but now really relying on that veterancy and that leadership. We heard GB talk about it, right? This is a guy who can take over a game, who can play the carries, and MDK are finally looking to leverage that. But for now, they need to be worried about this mid lane tower. Did manage to grab Herald on the side of BDS. MDK doing what they can to hold on.
I will say, it's not just Elyoya, though. This game especially, Alvaro and Elyoya, historically, these two past splits have been linking up really well together, and it's been Alvaro going towards topside, shadowing plays, creating dive opportunities, and finding leads, bringing back the game for MDK.
That's a great point. Now, the Dragon did just go over our first one of the game, relatively late, 15 minutes in. But with Herald also taken in exchange for BDS, we imagine that these outer towers are going to start falling. Top has already fallen, bot as well. That top one for BDS is relatively low as Sheo ticks over to level 11. Adam is a bit hesitant to push, knowing that he's on the weak side of the map. He needs a little bit more information as to where the rest of MDK are before he can really look to make a big play towards that bot.
Are we hovering near mid? Now it looks like they've caught out Ice. Labrov not in a good position to follow up or respond. Excellent combo from Alvaro. Fresskowy there to get the damage down. Clean pick and tower take from MDK.
Yeah, nothing really else to add. Clean pick is a great summary as MDK found a window. They recognize BDS looking to try and generate pressure on the top side of the map, and it's an isolated Twitch. He's not going to be able to get away. Nice flash follow-up from Alvaro, and MDK find themselves another pick.
I just think it's so incredibly hard for BDS to play the side lane right now because of that setup from the Camille. If you have a mini knight, you mentioned it, right? Adam can't walk up to hit the wave because of a 2k Fog of War unit travel from Camille into an ultimate and just being set up on with the ganks. He also loses side lane to the Tristana, so it's really difficult for them to ever get pressure, and they can just play side into mid lane.
MDK making the pick, making the proactive play. Excellent progress. Again, this was a team that scraped into playoffs, really. Were clutch in the tiebreakers, no doubt. Had to play 2 of those games back-to-back to end up here on stage. But in this game 1, fighting fire with fire against BDS. We need to see what the mid-game looks like, but for now, things are going very well.
Certainly are. One of the reasons I praised BDS so highly coming into playoffs was just because their macro has been so clean throughout the regular season. Honestly, like, the only really big mistake they made during the regular season was that game against SK where they fumbled that Baron, and there's a world where they could have gone 9-0. But right now, MDK are doing a good job of finding these picks. They're punishing these small windows. MDK definitely not the same 1-8 team that we saw at the end of the regular season.
No. Power taken down. BDS getting a bit more gold to even things out. Fresskowy now going to full commit here. 3 members on the top side. Fresskowy gets the reset on the rocket jump and is already on the way out. Valk forward from Nuke. Fresskowy certainly dead here. The flash, the blast cone. Oh, the map coming in clutch. He's got another one to run to, and the rest of MDK are there to cover. The collapse does not pay off for the side of BDS.
That's the second Tristana escape we've seen today, which, you know, is not that crazy, but the fact that it's happened twice in one day.
Look, all I'll say is there's a reason, and this isn't really the main reason, but it might be one of the reasons this champ is essentially 100% priority in every single league.
And I will say, just building on that, I don't think the Corki Trist handshake's a handshake at all. I think Tristana's just the best champ in the game, maybe bar Rumble as Nuke. Should be fine, dodges the grasping roots.
Important. Bit of extra damage coming down, but manages to avoid the plant aggro. MDK now retreating. Labrov and Sheo stepping up. Sheo, of course, no ultimate means it's going to be hard to collapse from range, but Myrwn relatively low. Hookshot, though, makes it easy for him to get off safety, and yet another vision trap setup from MDK. It's like we're in winter. They're making it work. Myrwn, quick pick coming through. TP on the way in, and Fresskowy. Ooh, looking to remind people why this champ is so damn good. Sheo going golden just in time to watch himself go down. MDK come alive in game 1.
A really excellent play from the corner of the wall, picking off Labrov as he face checks, and there's nothing to cross map because the tier 2 was already taken, so no consolation prize there. It's just a losing play for BDS.
It's pick after pick after pick. MDK have just been punishing BDS pretty much, what, for the last 10, 15 minutes now? We saw a great start to the game from BDS, but outside of that, they've not really been able to convert it into much else. We look back at this play, the Fog of War is what ends up catching the Braum out. A really nice trap setup from MDK. A beautiful Braum ultimate connects onto 2, forces Sheo to flash out incredibly quickly, but then the TP from Fresskowy allowing for the chase.
Fresskowy trying to sidestep here, Adam on the way in. Rocket jump takes him out. There's no follow-up. I gotta say, MDK, this is part of the reason why everyone was so caught off guard coming out of winter, moving into spring, moving into summer, when MDK struggled so much, because a lot of these individual players, Alvaro especially in this game, were so good in winter, and now we're starting to see some of those same levels of performance here in this game 1. That said, BDS continue to fire back, still able to take down these towers. They're not out of this game whatsoever, but MDK, I think, probably catching them off guard with this level of performance.
They have a Zyra and double AD carry. That Nash dies in 10 seconds. And I was really concerned by the fact that Adam was down bot side pushing. As
nope, it's always a vision trap, baby. Labrov, they keep teaching him this lesson.
And I mean, this top lane goal difference really doesn't matter. Camille is still having great impact on the side lane. MDK are now gonna start off the Baron. And I was concerned about their ability to engage, but they haven't needed it this game. They've just found pick after pick.
BDS, how do they contest this? 6K getting lower. Sheo in the area, wall. coming over. MDK uncertain. Cannot afford to falter here. Baron resets.
I mean, it's a scary thing to do against the Twitch. The ultimate can do a huge amount of damage in that confined space.
MDK's still walking up. Adam has a lot of rage. This is a very dangerous angle.
It's a flash hook committed from Labrov. Doesn't quite connect onto Elyoya, who flashes in response.
Yeah, the turn from the Baron was incredibly difficult because of the lack of engage, like you highlighted. They didn't have Myrwn, so they're just kind of running at them, hoping to land something like the Grasping Roots. That's the best thing they have. So it's very easy to turn them off of Nash and then get away as BDS.
Yeah, it's a great point because BDS, they just had to play the patient game, and that's exactly what they did. So Nash ends up staying alive for now. Only a small 1k gold lead for MDK. Look at the bottom of your screens though, you can see Supa starting to gain a nice item advantage over his counterpart, a 1k gold lead for him. Now that the Ravenous Hydra is complete, this 1k gold lead for Adam almost kind of feels fate. Yeah. The Camille reaching this point in the game, especially with 4 kills, level 13, like, I feel like that Myrwn is not really that stressed. I feel like he's very capable of having a huge impact. He's more than capable of killing both the Twitch and the Corki. It just becomes a question of, can he actually do it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this game, Dragons have been taking so damn late that the only thing that matters is full topside vision control. Because if one person gets picked on either side, that's an instant Nash start. And both teams have double AD carry plus AP jungler, which means Nash dies instantly. So you could say all this topside control, no one cares about Dragon because it's not going to be relevant this entire game.
Poor Dragon.
Yeah.
Outdated. No one cares anymore. Oh, it's just grubs forever now.
You're the old toy. Buzz is my new favorite.
Of all the things that we were going to get out, I did not expect a toy store.
Well, they're starting it.
That's what I imagined. I don't know, just Andy dropping the dragon.
Yeah. Well,
here we go,
MDK,
Baron.
Very focused on Buzz Lightyear. 6k getting lower, Baron falling. TP trying to bring them into the pit, but there's no jungler in the area. This should just be MDK's Baron. Can they get out of the pit? Elyoya caught up against the wall, does not have the flash. He might just try to fight it anyway. Labrov, good knock up. Elyoya taking his time, a little bit extra damage. Fresskowy, excellent buffer on the Gnar ultimate, but still, BDS, excuse me. Losing a couple in the process.
Wait. Did I need to check that. Did Supa go in, or did he get
I think he was stuck in the pit. I think he was stuck in the pit, no, from the start. And opted to try and one shot.
Elyoya was stuck in the pit. Elyoya was stuck in the pit. He had no flash. Let's take a look back.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're going to get a replay right now. So the Baron is being started off. There should be an easy secure. Elyoya doesn't have flash, so the call should be to just disengage, get out. Alvaro's trying to keep his jungler alive, but at that point, he's kind of already dead. Really nice.
Yep, he went in.
He went in!
He went in.
Why?
I mean, he saw the angle. Maybe he thought with the AoE,
I guess
he could pull it off.
I guess maybe. I don't think
Runnen's completed static.
I don't agree.
I see it, you know?
Sure, I can see the but I don't think that was the play. I mean, maybe I have the luxury of hindsight, but I feel like that the Baron should have been the call there, and they just want and now they've lost 3 Barons.
But they've kept 2, crucially on side laners. Myrwn and Fresskowy, both with Barons.
That's true.
They can still play on 2 lanes, and we need to see what they actually get, because so far it's a negative Baron power play. It gives them 1,500 gold, they're now at negative 800. They've lost a lot of money since the purple norm went down. Maybe they can get something else here. Of course, both teams pretty good scaling, right? Camille obviously feels like a much scarier champion late game outside of the perfect circumstances for Gnar, but MDK aren't going to be sad to have a bit extra time to get that 3rd item completed on their Tristana and their Zeri.
I will say 3 deaths for Baron is very close to not being worth. I'd say 4 is like completely suboptimal, but because there's 3 dead, you have to wait for everyone to respawn and then get everyone on the map again ready to push out the side waves, and then you could play the Baron. It takes a very long time. And it's going to hinder MDK's ability to push this lead.
They got a minute and 15 seconds, 2 waves really to play on. This one and then maybe, 2 more. And of course, Supa doesn't have the Baron. Fresskowy does, but Ice already here to respond. MDK don't have a lot of members committed, so it feels like we're going to set up for yet another vision trap. Potential aggressive play here. No big objectives to take. Alvaro.
Well, I mean, this is the awkward thing, right? Typically, you'd use the Baron to start, in this situation, sieging onto the tier 2s if you're MDK, but because they lost that, or they lost many members, it's hard for them to really set up multiple points of pressure. In fact, BDS are just kind of answering all across the map. So we're now in this awkward middle ground for MDK where there's nothing really for them to put pressure on outside. Like, they're doing the correct thing, moving into the enemy jungle, setting up vision nicely. Let's see if they can get any significant damage done here.
I mean, one way for them to play on Fresskowy not really able to approach here means essentially this Baron could result in bot lane tier 2 going down, but BDS haven't given it up yet.
Yeah. BDS have a couple of avenues. They have essentially double global with a threat of Twitch invisibility as well as Taliyah, so they can play side extremely well. If they find Myrwn ever on side lane, they can pick him off. That's something they haven't done yet. Ice on this Twitch is just go to side lane with a side laner and pick off the side lane. But looks like they're going to push off the Baron siege anyway.
I mean, BDS is very comfortable in this position. They're quite happy to sit back, keep farming, keep scaling up.
I gotta say though, MDK, this is the one play they have, and this time BDS read it. 4 times in a row, the vision trap is laid, but this time it's BDS who are ready for it. Adam ready to go mega. Alvaro, nice flashback. Supa untouched for now. Fresskowy off to the side. Double 80 carries are still alive, and that means disaster for BDS. It started so good. As long as Ice is standing, there's a little bit of hope. Adam running for his life, but the Unbreakable mitigating so much damage. Ice will make it out, but it's still MDK taking the fight. Adam inevitably going to fall here. Maybe not.
The move speed from turning into mini Gnar, I mean, it's just going to buy a little bit of time.
Wall up timed well. No, yeah, it's a matter of time.
But that engage, Adam was so close to Mega Gnar. They pulled the trigger with Sheo on the ultimate, and he can't follow up with the ult into the wall, I believe. It's so close. It's a couple more auto attacks.
It was a
close
exchange where I think Myrwn had massive impact, mainly because he just completely isolated Nuke off on the side, and that's the best case scenario for him, right? Where he's just getting an isolated 1v1 where he's confident he can win out against anyone on the side of BDS. And the snap engage definitely caught them off guard. You look at Adam, doesn't quite have that Mega Gnar that you're talking about. The Zyra ultimate, I think, bought a lot of time, but Ice isn't there and Nuke isn't there. Meanwhile, on the minimap, you can see he's being cut off. He's being taken out by Myrwn, and then Fresskowy joins the fight from a great angle, meaning that MDK, they were successfully able to weather that engage and then find a good re-engage.
Camille now trying to escape, though. Shot wall dive. 2 more seconds left on the cooldown, but he doesn't have a good extended wall to get away from. Nuke should just be able to finish off the kill. Nice sidestep on the rocket, the big one. Good damage. Ooh! He gets it! Good
Look at the pressure in mids. They're able to get that wave in, they push onto the tower, they should be able to secure this one as well.
I mean, Myrwn on this Camille, they're sieging through mid, buying time to be able to do that. I'm so shocked by Myrwn on this Camille, because I had him backed as a top laner who couldn't really play the meta stuff, right? He wasn't so good.
You needed the counter picks, right? We talk about the VARs,
he gets the resources.
We don't see him on the normal stuff, and here he is, Camille. Right, a champion that can take over a game, and he is taking over this game. 6-1-2, he's absorbing so much pressure. The only person with a gold lead on the side of BDS right now is Sheo, and I don't think it really matters. MDK grabbing another Drake. The good news for the side of BDS, as you highlighted earlier, no Drakes have been taken this game. There's no real threat of soul. Baron, 44 seconds. BDS can be the team to have first setup. They will get first push out here on the wave, but what will they do with it?
My biggest concern for MDK was that they didn't have any engage tools, and so far that has not been a problem for them at all. They've successfully controlled vision to find picks onto BDS. They've leveraged numbers advantages to control space, whether it be around Baron or around Dragon. And then they forced BDS into engaging onto them, which they've then re-engaged and found good fights, with Myrwn consistently finding good angles to flank on and punish BDS. This is a game that I'm very surprised with how BDS are playing, because I feel like that they're playing right into the hands of MDK, and MDK is finding great advantages off the back of it.
And one of the insurance policies that BDS has leveraged more than a few times is Ice on these, late game scaling hyper carries. But he doesn't even have an Infinity yet completed again.
It's the same thing.
And again, vision traps. If at first you succeed, keep doing the same thing. And MDK never punished.
They do the exact same thing. They have numbers advantage. You force the objective. You force BDS to come into you. And now they're going to be forced to respond. It actually looks like they're going to concede it. They're not even going to bother. They're going to try and get other objectives on the map. But this time, MDK will get away with all 5 members with the Baron. It'll cost them 2 towers, but I think they'll call worth.
Labrov is having to face check to try and check if Baron is up. I wonder why they're not layering their blue trinkets to maybe check, because that Baron goes down so fast. Maybe he doesn't feel comfortable and he feels like he has to go check. It's so annoying for BDS because they've committed their early game to getting grubs, but they can never use grubs because of the potential setup from the Camille, which means they just cannot generate a lead through the side lane. In the end, it's another Baron for MDK.
And we're at the point where, obviously, there's 2 AD carries on both sides. The Camille is scarier, and I think, very importantly, the Braum is so much scarier. It is incredibly difficult for a player like Ice, even now when he has the IE, to find the right angle to approach these fights, because if he's a little bit wrong one way, Myrwn kills him. If he's a little bit wrong the other way, the Braum blocks all of his damage. And when we talked about how hard it would be for Myrwn to play against all this disruption, it's even harder now for Ice to have that late game carry impact against an MDK that is so damn far ahead.
MDK now sieging in the top side. No flash on Myrwn, so if they manage to find some CC, maybe they'll lock him down with the Nautilus plus Taliyah combo. It is a lot of one-shot potential, but he has picked up some MR to maybe have an insurance policy.
Alvaro stepping up, taking a decent chunk of damage. All shock blades are not going to connect onto Sheo, and the siege just continues. Much more of the Baron they wanted the first time around. Good knockback onto Fresskowy. Excellent hook to follow, but can BDS take the fight? They took so much damage up front from the Zyra. Labrov once again running as quickly as he can. Myrwn off to the side. Again, MDK under no pressure. They give up 1, they lose Fresskowy, but they still grab the tower and they can walk away clean.
BDS are able to find the pick. You see how much damage the Zyra was able to do, but miraculously they get away with their lives. No inhibitor ended up dropping. The Baron, while it does secure a tier 2 tower for MDK, they haven't quite broken the base of BDS just yet. BDS holding on for now. The gold is starting to get a little out of control as this Tristana only continues to get stronger. Myrwn continues to get stronger. And really, I'm kind of waiting for that Ice Twitch pop-off moment. Yeah. We've all experienced it before, where the Twitch comes out of nowhere, you start absolutely decimating the fights that we haven't really seen from him yet, that we saw a lot of during the regular season when he was playing the Jinx in the Zeri.
But what if MDK just put 4 people in this bush again? I mean, like, it's a really good trick, I can't lie. It's just so funny that BDS are so far behind, right? They don't really have pressure in very many places on the map, so they have to keep face checking. This time around, it's Alvaro face check, but he's the Braum. Here's Supa, instantly gonna knock one down. BDS is trying to retreat. Ice invisible. They can open up. Knock back into the wall is good. As long as Unbreakable is there from the wall, Braum, they can't really do much. Elyoya throwing damage down over the wall. Hook shot, wall dive. Myrwn keen to follow it up, but has he overstayed his welcome? Now leaping onto the switch, he just one-shots him, but Ice stays standing. Ice, the Ultra Shock laser finishes it. Fresskowy wants to end the game right here. Triple kill coming in from Ice, but it might not be enough. Adam getting taken down. Flash forward from Fresskowy, but he knocks him back into the fountain. MDK in a tricky position. Now the tower, the TP coming in, but they can delete it before the TP finishes, and now it's Nuke all on his lonesome in a 2v1. He tries to get one back, but Triumph just comes in too damn clutch.
What just happened? That was one of the craziest team fights we've seen in a while. It ends up being a 4-for-3. Yeah. Ice did get his pop-off moment. He was able to turn the fight around as MDK heavily overcommitted for the dive, but then it devolved into this strange 2v2. The TP came in. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it starts off with him trying to one-shot through Celestial opposition, which is impossible. It's a Warmox Braum with lock at Celestial opposition. He lives. Then he turns onto BDS Line, and then you think MDK are overreaching because they all dive forward, right? They all send themselves forward, and the CC comes down onto Myrwn, who can't then dive back line effectively.
Look at Ice. Look at Ice. Yeah. He's getting very low, but he just tears MDK apart. Does a huge amount of damage. Nice response there from Supa, turning it into a 2v2. Then Fresskowy with a bit of a misplay, thinking he has the damage, but he doesn't quite get it. I think it was the fleet footwork that actually gets Adam to safety, and then the TP just gets cancelled, which he now finds himself in a 2v1 that he almost gets a kill back in.
A quick thumbs up as well.
Yep, that summarizes our thoughts too, Elyoya. Thank you very much. We get back into the action. MDK with still control over the map. They've gotten their 3rd dragon of the game. Soul will be next.
And Ice, crucially, not flashing that laser from Zeri. Now, whether it's a misplay or an intentional, that means he's going to be way stronger in this upcoming teamfight, potentially, at the next dragon in a minute and a half.
As well highlighted because Elyoya, Myrwn, Fresskowy, Supa all do not have flash. Alvaro as well, all flashes down. Of course, likely that Elyoya will have his backup and available, but so far this game, the lack of engage really doesn't feel like it has hurt MDK much. But as we get later into the game, as Ice is able to sit in the backline with his sums available, it is going to get a bit trickier. Overall, Corki Poke remains Corki Poke, though. So he just gets a free pass to the top of the damage leaderboard. Is it real damage? Hard to say.
No, I mean, he's still doing a lot of damage, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can call it real when there's no sustain on the enemy team, right? It's sticking, unless it's to the Braum with Warmogs.
But speaking of sustain, MDK dangerously close to Ocean Soul. We've now hit the point in the game, 34 minutes in, where despite the fact that nobody took a dragon for the first eternity, there's still a soul right around the corner. BDS going to be put in a position where there are going to be 2 active objectives on the map. Luckily for them, the timer between Dragon and Baron heavily desynced.
Could be a 40-minuter.
You're realizing the awkwardness, though, of MDK's comp, where even though this should be like a clearly one game, it is difficult for them to end because they can't just really start to fight whenever they want.
Unless they do another trap in a bush.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is kind of what they have to do, though. They control the space, they wait for BDS to face check, they find a pick, and then they start the objective. I think they've done a great job of recognizing how their comp works and executing on it.
Nice hook to start, knock up onto Labrov. Celestial opposition mitigates some of the upfront damage. Fresskowy, relatively untouched, but this is a poke battle.
All gone now. They still have to face check, which is kind of a problem for BDS. Gnar disappearing means that BDS have, well...
Ooh, Blue Trinket. They know the objective hasn't been started.
Yeah, they don't want to face check that. They're paranoid. Labrov, don't face check this again.
He has flash.
To get out. Hook back in onto the Braum. Not ideal. Myrwn coming around from the corner, but Ice uncontested on the AD carry. He's going to try to delete Fresskowy. The knock up there. Ice now following, looking for the expunge. One more auto to do it. Ice still standing. He has to be the one to make a difference. The Supa's already taken over. It's already a triple. They'll do him a quadra, maybe even the penta. Ice wants to fire back. But here we go. Supa! Penta in game 1 of playoffs.
It's
what a start.
Denied by Elyoya. It was a quadra, and MDK should be able to win off the back of this as an ace comes through, and MDK set their sights on game 1 of this best of 3.
That was rude from Elyoya. He embarrassed both me and his AD carry. And also BDS in game 1. MDK come out swinging, constant vision traps, aggressive play, confidence on stage. This team has been reborn in the LEC playoffs.
It took 3 Nashes spawning for them to be able to take down the base, and constant vision plays like you said. And honestly, I want to highlight, despite Supa getting a quadra kill there, almost a penta, Myrwn played really damn well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a super exciting game. Mad Lions definitely looking revitalized, and we'll see if they can continue that form as we go to a quick break. See you in a bit.
Red Bull gives you wings. There's a place where everything begins. From the first tutorial journey to challenging the worlds. A place where people connect and friends rise to become legends. There's a place where adventure awaits you.
Welcome
to the legendary lobby.
Marriott Bonvoy. Unlock exclusive member rates and legendary benefits across over 30 hotel brands worldwide. Sign up today for free and claim your Masterwork chest and key.